Or maybe tell me something about, oh, CLI commands or GUI ones. So, okay, so you are going to be a developer. So developers like CLI for everything, okay? If there is a CLI version for any software, I guess most of the developers would love to use the CLI version. And GUI ones, it's your wish. If you want to start with GUI, then you'll be stuck with GUI. That's the thing. So you won't be able to move to CLI. If there's an option of CLI, why not CLI? CLI is faster than GUI once you get used to things. So GI is for, GI is for noobs. Not exactly. If you're not comfortable and you want to use it, for example, if you have a project going on and you don't know how to use Git command line tool, then of course you should go with GUI one. So because that is more important at that point of time, right? Completing a project. And then I see a lot of guys, new guys joining in. So please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. What is CLI and GUI? CLI is command line interface. GUI is graphical user interface. So I'll be talking about it a little bit more when I'll be showing my slides. So don't worry about that. Anything else that you would like to know about IIIT Delhi? So how many of you have gone to the campus and visited the campus? All of you.
टूर ही नहीं हुआ अब तक कैंपस का.
Just do a +1 in the chat if you have visited IIIT Delhi, and -1 if you haven't. And please mute yourself. Okay, outside Delhi. That's very sad. So most of you haven't visited the campus yet. So, okay. Fine. Stop, guys. Come on. How many of you are there? 114. Okay, nice. So talking about the campus, last time I visited the campus, there was just, the pedestal was made for the IIIT Delhi logo to be laid on. And now the logo is there. What do we call it? I don't know. What do we call it? Signage, IIIT Delhi signage, right? Whatever it is. So it was not there before and now it has been set up. So I want to go and visit and click pictures maybe. What about you guys? Do you like that pedestal, IIIT Delhi? Ah, you guys might not even have noticed it because we were there when it was being made. So that's why it's important to me, maybe.
हाँ
Okay.
भेजा है.
Okay, so those who have joined just now, please mute yourselves. It would be very embarrassing if this shows up in the recording, right? The background noises that has been recorded till now. I'll try and trim it maybe. So if I mute everyone, then I don't know. Let's see. I'm not, I haven't taken any sessions on Zoom before.
Harsh, do you want to start now? It's 8:03.
Yeah, sure. So if I mute everyone now, then okay. So whenever you want to ask questions, you guys can type in the chat and then I'll unmute you. Okay. So now I'll start the presentation.
Yeah, you can just start right now because I think
Yeah.
we've waited for sufficient amount of time. Yeah. All right. All the best.
Thank you, Isha.
Yeah. Let us know if anything else is needed. I'll be dropping
Yeah.
off now, but you can just call me and whenever you need me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So finally, the time has come to start it. So can you guys see the screen now? But I cannot see the chat. Just wait a second. I don't know what to do about it. Oh, I can see it above. Remote control stop chat. Right. So I want to set this up always on top. Yeah, great. So can you guys hear me and can you guys see the screen? Just do a +1 in the chat. And can you guys see the chat window as well on my screen, not on your end? Can you guys see the chat screen? No, no chat screen. I can see no chat. No, on my screen. On your screen, of course, you can see the chat, but on my screen, can you guys see the chat? No chat. It's great. So everything is set up finally. Okay. So before getting started, I just want to give a quick instructions before we start. So please mute yourself and unmute only when you have to say something that's, without the saying I've already told you many times. So avoid interrupting the flow while I'm explaining something. I'll give you sufficient time to ask questions. Okay. So don't worry about that. So after almost every slide, I'll give you time to ask questions. And if you want to ask some question, just maybe type in the chat that I want to speak up, and then uh, I'll give you access to unmute yourself. Okay. So I don't know how to set this up that when you raise hand, uh, you'll get to unmute yourself. So never mind. So prefer the chat box to communicate and maintain decorum in the chat box as well as while speaking. So that's good enough. Okay. So installation part. So how many of you guys can see the how many of you guys have installed Git on your systems? Just do a +1, and if you haven't, do a -1. I can still hear someone. I don't know who, but it would be great if you guys can just mute yourselves if you can unmute right now. Okay. Okay, so you haven't set it up. So just go to this link or maybe just search Git. So you'll find one Git-SCM website, or else you can see this link also. It might work as well. I'm not sure this. So I've shown you guys that the slides were provided by Chirag, and I am presenting them. So you guys just search Git on your system, on your browser, and then install it. If you're on Linux, then directly do sudo apt-get install Git. And if you are on Fedora, yeah, instructions are on the screen, right? Okay, forget about muting and unmuting for right now. Okay, so we'll see that later. Yes, download Git and install it in your system. That's what I'm waiting for. What editor? Okay, so what all options do you have? You have option as Vim and Nano, I guess. So Vim is a little bit difficult to use. So if you have option for Nano, then use Nano. Why is there a dot? I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. I use any text editor of your choice. If Sublime Text is there on your system, use Sublime Text. That's good. Vim, good for show off. I don't know. So Naman, I guess everyone else can hear me. So I can also see that I have a pop-up on my screen which says talking Harsh Kumar. So for sure I'm audible to others. Sublime text works. Yeah, any Nano. I'll recommend Nano, and if not Nano, then use any text editor of your choice. That's fine. Nano is simple to use. Vim is quite complicated in the beginning, so I'm using Mac. It's showing could not resolve. I'm not sure about that, so I of course I cannot talk about all the three, you know, OS. So I don't know how it works on Mac OS. Haven't used Mac OS. So you can search on Google if there's any problem. Of course, others would be there who have faced the same issue, and then you can resolve it. Yes, recording will be uploaded. Forget about it now. Set the default path. Leave everything at default. If you don't understand something, just leave it whatever it is.
मम्मी क्लास
अपना काम करने थे
तो फिर अंदर जाके ले ले
मैं तेरे से ना बोल रही तो तू मेरे से मत बोल लेगा
सॉरी
I'm really sorry about that. So yeah, how many of you have installed Git by now? So if you haven't installed it before and now you did it, so do a +1. If you have done it already, then I have already seen your +1s. Okay. -1. Someone did a -1. So I'll wait for a few more minutes and then I'll start. It's 10 already. Which editor? Nano. I told you, Nano, Sublime Text, whichever is installed on your system, which you can use. Nano is good enough, I guess. Nano is easy. Visual Studio, come on. Is Visual Studio installed on the system already? If it is, then you can use it. So whichever text editor you have installed on your system, use it. What? I have to open Git Bash. So I'll tell you, just install Git right now. Will Notepad work? Any text editor of your choice, guys. Any text editor. What's default text editor? By default, it's Vim, I guess, but Vim it's a bit difficult to use, so choose Nano. Okay, so I'll be starting in 2 more minutes. So guys, please make sure that you have installed Git by then. If not, just follow whatever I'm doing. That would be, I guess, good enough. Is Nano inbuilt? On Linux it is. I don't know about others. Will Notepad work? Notepad will work. I have told you before. What's the default text editor? I've told you. Okay. The recordings will be uploaded and you will be shared a link. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about installing Nano. If it's not already there, then we'll see what we have to do. Okay. So don't worry about it now. Just install Git and choose the default text editor as maybe Nano or Notepad or whatever. Then we'll see. Okay. So, okay, I'm moving to the next slide now. Okay. So if you are unable to install it, just I won't be doing anything with Git right now. I'm just making you guys install it before we proceed. Okay, so what is Git? Now that you have installed Git, so what is Git? Let's know what we have done, right? So it's just a tool to manage code. So, okay, so I'll not be looking for the chat for a few minutes. So please
कंप्यूटर पे बैठ
hold
के
on
कुछ
your
कर नहीं
questions for
रहा
a few more minutes,
वैसे
okay?
सुनता रहूंगा ना अब जा ही रहते
Isha,
ईयरफोन्स
are you there?
कब तक रुक रहा है आर यू देयर
Just mute yourself, guys. I'll be talking. I'll just send a message to Isha. Okay, so I have told her she'll see it, I guess. So yeah, so Git is a tool for your code management, not just code, anything. Okay, so you want to store maybe images. Well, we don't do that, but you can do that. Okay, so just to store things, you use Git. And why particularly Git? You can store it on maybe uh, just directly on a computer. Then why? What is the requirement for Git? Right? You will be thinking about that. So this is basically a version control system. Git is a version control system. Okay. VCS. Please, guys, mute yourselves. Okay. So I have told it a lot of times. So I've tried muting you guys, but maybe those who are joining late may be able to unmute themselves. Okay. So just make sure that you are muted. I have muted everyone, but I don't know how some people are able to unmute themselves. Okay. So yeah, I won't be waiting for you guys to mute now. I'll just speaking. Okay. So Git is a version control system. So what do you mean by version control system, right? So for example, you are working on a project or maybe just a single file. Your project is just a single file. Okay. So maybe that file is maybe I'll call it file.py, the file, the first file that you see here. Okay. So this is the file.py file. Maybe you're working on it. So then, okay, so Advait, I'll unmute everyone. Then you can tell me how to make you co-host, and I'll do that. Okay. So Advait, you can now talk, I guess. Hello, are you there? Okay, great. So I'll just,
Harsh?
yeah.
Yeah, can you also make Nandika co-host? She'll take care of this.
I don't know how to do that. That's what I'm telling you.
No, एक बार just scroll down and you can see in the more option, you can make her a co-host.
Mm, just give me a minute, guys. I'm really sorry about this. Actually, I cannot see it on my screen as I have started the presentation. So I don't see any option to make anyone
Okay,
host.
you carry on. We'll take care of
Yeah.
this.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you, Isha.
Don't worry.
So Git is a version control system. So basically, maybe this is a project. So the screenshot that you see here is a project. Okay, so there are a lot of files here. So maybe you're working on this, and let's say that you are now, the present state of your project is stable, and you want to checkpoint it. Okay, so maybe you want to say that this is a good point to come back to if something goes wrong with my project. Yeah, this happens a lot. You are working on something and then you reach a stable state, and then you want to checkpoint this. Okay, so then you would like to try on some additional feature, but you won't like to mess it up. And if it so happens that you have messed up with the code, then you would like to go on and reset it. Yes. So this is one of the biggest advantages of using Git. And then the second advantage is collaboration. Okay, so as I have written in the mail that Linux being the one of the biggest open source projects of all time, so think about it. Hundreds, maybe 100,000 people contributed to the project. I'm not sure, but at least 10,000 people did contribute to the project. And then, how would you manage so many people contributing to your project? So it's a big project. Still, think about it. It would be a great task, right? If not done with Git, right? So Git is very helpful in that. So let's see. We'll proceed, and then we'll see how we do it. Okay. So what is a repository? Okay, so for any, a container for all your codes and everything. maybe your images, assets, so whatever you're working on. So if you're working on a website, then you will be having a lot of images, etc. So a repository is just a container. So whatever you put in there, whatever you want to store, whatever you want to basically uh, use Git for, maybe that's a better way to put it. And more generally, if you don't want to confuse yourself, then more generally, it's just a single project. Okay. So a single project where all the people would be contributing to and then making changes, and then everyone would be able to see it, right? So what is a commit? So commit is the same as, so I was talking about, you want to checkpoint at some point, right? So you want to say that now that if I mess my code, so I would like to come back to this point, right? So if you would like to do that, then every state is known as a commit. So what happens at the back end is that, if you could think like, so we have just two main programs, diff and patch. That is the root for Git, I can say. Okay. So these are the two main programs. So diff is basically the difference, if you could relate it with difference. Okay. So you have your project. Okay. So it's already saved. Assume that it's already saved, and you can access that point of project at, later, if you were to visit the project at the same amount, the same point of time, the same settings and everything. So you'd like to name it. So that's what a commit is. Okay. So that's a checkpoint. You can say a named checkpoint if you want to. So a checkpoint which is named. And then a commit also has a lot of other informations. So we'll be looking into that later on. So initial setup. So I'd like you guys to do this initial setup of your Git. So this is the name of the user who is using it, and then the email and the editor. If it works, this will not work on Windows, I guess. Code.editor Nano. I'm not sure about it. You guys can try this. Okay. So before we proceed, you guys should do these three things. Just open Git Bash if you are in Windows. If you are in Linux, just directly open a terminal, fire up a terminal and do this. Same for Mac OS. Fire up a terminal and do this. You can directly access Git now if Git is already installed on the system. Okay, so just three things. Do it quickly. And then maybe do a +1 in the chat if you want to. If you have done this. Yeah, done. Someone said, yeah, done. What about others? Where to do this? I said this, do this on the terminal. Please repeat the last step. Okay, so just fire up a terminal. If you are in Windows, fire up your Git Bash. Just press the start button, type Git Bash. If you have installed Git, then you'll see a Git Bash there, and then type these three commands. Maybe you should change the name and email, of course. You would like to do that, won't you? So do these three things. So as you can see from these three commands, the first one is setting up your name. So that would be the name which would be used for all your changes that you'll be doing in any repository. -- global means, sorry about that. So -- global means that you are doing it for all the repositories on the system, and whenever you'll be doing it, it would be great. Yeah. So one very important point coming from Chirag Jain, who actually shared the slides with me. So the email should be the same as that you will be using to sign up on GitHub. So uh, I'll suggest don't use the IIIT Delhi email for this, because eventually you will lose access to a IIIT Delhi account, right? After you graduate, but then you'd like to keep your GitHub account safe even after that, right? So maybe you guys could use your personal email ID for this. That would be better. And this step is important because all the commits that you will be doing would be synced on your GitHub. So I'll be talking more on that later on, but just for the time being, use the same email ID that you'll be signing up on GitHub for, or maybe you guys have already signed up, then use the same email ID. Command not found. Do this on Git Bash. Don't think about GitHub right now. We are talking about Git. What is core editor for? So this editor will be by default fired up if it's needed by Git. Okay. So this editor, this is Nano Editor. Nano is a command line editor which is by default installed on, I guess, Mac OS. I'm not sure about Mac OS, but it is installed on Linux. Okay. For Windows, just ignore this last line. For Windows, just ignore this last line. When you were installing Git, then you chose the thing, right? You chose what editor you would be using for Git. So don't worry about that if you are on Windows. Good. So those who would like me to wait for a few more moments, just do a -1 in the chat. Okay, just a single person. So I won't be doing much in the next slide. So you can do that one. Okay, a lot of -1s. Don't put the dash sign. Yeah, so don't put this sign. Start from Git, right? This is just, the screenshot in which this symbol appears on the Git bash or whatever he might be using at that time. $sign kya hai? Okay, so $sign is nothing but it tells you that after this you are allowed to type something. You can change the $sign if you want. It's just a default configuration how this terminal works. Command not found. Don't type this, whatever this is called, tilde, and then don't put space after this. It is just by default by the terminal that you are using. Start from git space config space dash dash global. Yeah. If you are seeing error messages like bash, see users, whatever that was, and whatever you are doing, then you are probably doing something wrong. Check it again. Okay, so I'll move to the next slide now. Can you repeat? What shall I repeat? It's on the screen that you have to do. Min GW64 क्यों लिखा क्यों हुआ है? Just forget it for now. That's a C compiler, I guess. So it shows up by default on Windows maybe. So just ignore it for now. Okay. Yeah, maybe copy what Dipanshu has written in the chat and then type your email there. What is Brew? I joined in late. Brew, APT, Snap, all these are package managers. Brew is specifically for Mac OS. Leave it. Don't worry about that. So talk only about the things that are shown on the screen. All these doubts will be taken later. Okay. So Git file states. Okay. So now that you are familiar with Git, then let's talk about the file state. So you are in a project and then there are these file states. Okay. So first is untracked. So you would not like your project to track all the files. Okay, so maybe you want to remove the build parts, right? Maybe the exe files that you have built, and maybe if you're working on Python right now, there's no such build file for Python because it's an interpreted language. So if you guys have worked on C++, then there is .out file by default, or you can call it anything. And on Windows, it is .exe files, right? So these files you would not like to track. Why? Because you can always recreate those files. And also these files are platform dependent, right? So maybe you're writing a C program and then you compiled it and you got a .exe file. You would not like to track the .exe file because it will automatically change whenever you change the code, then you can rebuild it, right? So these files are untracked. You don't want to track them. You don't want to track the changes on these files. Okay. Yes, you can leave the third command for Windows. And please, let's proceed now. Okay. So it's already 8:30. So then the state is unmodified. Okay. So I told you the two main programs that power Git are the diff and the patch, right? So maybe not directly, but internally they are doing the same thing. I'm not sure about that. So unmodified state. So think about it. You have a big project. Okay. and you won't be changing all the files in one go, right? So maybe it's already working, it's working fine. You want to implement a new feature. For say you want to implement a new record of a student if you are working on a student record. Okay, so then there are other files. So you're working on a particular file. There are other files in the project that remain unmodified when you change it. Okay, but then there is just one file which you have modified. Okay, so the unmodified changes are none of our concern. They are already saved. I don't want to save it again, right? So the unmodified files are not committed. Commit, what is a commit? I told you commit is a checkpoint for your project. Okay, so you had an earlier point, earlier checkpoint, and then you maybe modified a single file. So the rest of the files are unchanged. Those are unmodified files. Okay, so you don't want to maybe checkpoint them again. They're already saved. Okay, then there are these files which are modified. Okay, so the files that are modified. Okay, then staged. This is something that we'll talk about. Okay, so staged files. Okay, so you are working on a project, the same project, you changed one file. Okay, now maybe you changed two files. Okay, so you were implementing a new feature, maybe you changed two files, but the second file that you changed is not working as it should, right? But then you would like to checkpoint the first file. Okay, so you have modified two files. Let's go back again. Okay, so you have modified two files on your project. You want to save one, yani you want to checkpoint one, but the other one you want to ignore it for now because you're working on it right now. Okay, maybe you will want to save it later, but now for now I don't want to save it. I don't want to say that it's working fine. I don't want to commit it. Commit means I'm committing that it's working fine. Think about it like that. Okay, so you won't like to do that, right? So it's not working as it should, so you like to save just one file or checkpoint just one file. Okay, so staging area is the area where you set the files that you want to save in the next commit. Okay, so for now these are the three states that you should be worried about: untracked, unmodified, and then modified. So these are the three states, right? And then there is a staged state. So staged state is all those files that you would be committing in the next commit. So I'll be saying that these files are working fine, take them and checkpoint them. Okay, so we'll be talking about this more in detail. So let's start with Git now. So by now, I think you all have set up Git in your systems, right? So if just one or two students were not able to set up, then we can proceed. Dash global code editor, code dash wait. What is that? I don't know what you're trying to say. Okay. So now we'll be experimenting with Git, right? So I have fired up my terminal. Can you guys see my terminal? Maybe no. Then I'll change this. No, right. Okay, stop. I'll be sharing the terminal with you. Where is my terminal? Share. Right. So now you guys can see my terminal. Can you? Yeah, great. So welcome. What is it? It's Hedron. So that's my username. Great. So, okay, don't worry about that. It was just to please you guys. So now this is the terminal. Okay. So for Windows, this might be different. It might look different. It might somewhere behave differently too. So, but if you're using Git Bash, then I guess most of the commands would match whatever I'm doing. Okay, not just most of the commands, but almost every command would be matched whatever I'm using for today at least. Okay, so now I want to create a new folder in which I'll be storing my project, right? So I want to create a new folder in which I'll be creating my project. So that's very obvious. We do it always, right? So we create a folder. So for that, I'll be using mkdir. Mkdir is that make directory. Okay, then space, then just name the folder, any folder, maybe just hello. That's fine for me. Okay, you guys can try these commands too, and if it's not working, then leave it. Just see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, so I have created a new folder. How would I know that it's created? First of all, there is no error. Then secondly, I'll do an ls command. Ls is for list. Okay, list everything. Can't we directly just make a folder? That's a very good question. I'd be asking you after 1 year. Then you'll say how to create a folder using terminal or using GUI. Then you'll tell me. Okay, so cannot create directory, permission denied. So maybe you're working in a wrong directory where you don't have permissions. So you can do sudo for if you are using Linux, but by default we are in the home directory, and I think that we should be able to make a new folder in the home directory. Okay, so yeah, do this in Git Bash. Do this in Git Bash. I'm not sure if mkdir works in Git Bash, but then you'll have to fire up a CMD. Then just try it once; it will work most probably. Yeah. So I created this hello folder. Okay. Now I want to see if that folder was created. So I will do ls. This will list all the files and the folders in my system at the current working directory. Means the place where I'm working right now. Okay. So that is the home directory. Okay. By default, it is the home directory. So in the home directory, or for Windows, it is by default the users directory, I guess. C users, your username, and that's it. That's where you land up when you start. Okay. Isn't there a search type thing in Mac? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Just press the control, whatever that is, window button for us. I don't know what it's called for you. So yeah, for you that would be C users and your username, something like that. Okay, so that is your home directory. We won't care about what's our home directory. We for sure can create a new folder in that directory. Okay, so I did an ls command, and you can see all the files that are there in my home directory. So I just want to move to the hello folder that I created. Here it is, right? You can see it. So I'll move to the hello folder. For that, there's a command cd. So cd space hello, the name of the folder. So if you don't want to type the full name, just type H and press tab. That would automatically auto-complete it for you. Okay, if you guys cannot do this on your system, just forget it for now. Learning is more important. You can try this later. This session is recorded. So cd hello, right? So now you can see that I'm in my hello directory. So, right? So now you are in my hello directory, which I created right now. Okay. So tell me how many of you guys have been able to follow what I'm doing. Just do a +1. Yeah, so a lot of you guys. Then what I'm telling is fine, I guess. Okay, check on your end. Then this is the place where I would be storing all the files related to my project, right? So first of all, you're not like Git to interfere with every folder. Maybe you are just storing your movies in a folder, so you won't like Git to interfere there, right? So I'll now tell Git that start tracing or tracking my changes in this folder. For that, I'll do Git Init, right? Do this. So this will initialize an empty Git repository in the present folder that you are in. Okay. So did you guys see a similar message? Initialized empty Git repository. Yes, great, great, great. Thanks. So now you have been able to initialize an empty project. Okay, so you can work on it and Git will trace it for you, but it's not so easy. Then why would we have a session for it if it's so easy, right? So for now, we have created an empty repository, that's for sure. Okay, let's move to the next slide and see what's there. Okay, I'll share my slides again. Okay, so you guys can see my slides now. Just do a +1. Yeah, that's great. So you guys can try this on your system, Git Status. This will tell you the status of your repository for now. So why hello master? We'll talk about it later. Okay. So the new changes of the files which are yet to be committed, it tells about, yeah. So it tells the present state of your, repository. So what files have been, modified. Mostly would love to know about what files have been modified and what files have been uh, pushed. I won't say push, that would be a wrong term. So what files have been added to the staging area. Okay. So these are mostly the two types of files that would be interested to know about, because modified files are the files which would like to commit in future, and the stage files are the files which would like to commit in the next commit. Okay, so that's it. Let's move on to the next slide. No commit yet, right? No commit yet. We haven't committed anything. So yeah, that's what you should see on your screen. Nothing to commit because we haven't added any files in the folder. Okay. Yeah, so now comes the adding files to commit part. For that, we should have some files, right? So we don't have any files right now. So let's try it. Okay. So first of all, let's try and make some files in the system, files in this folder, right? So if I do ls right now, mind you, I told you that ls is for listing the files and folders. It will show nothing. Okay. You can delete the .git file in the directory. No, don't do that. Why? Why would you? Oh, Nandika is saying something. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So if I do ls dash a, however, if I do ls dash a, that lists all the files and folders, even the hidden ones. Okay, so let's see what we get if we do this. Okay, so this dot is for the current directory. We cannot do anything about that. So double dot is the previous directory where we are coming from. So for this, we have the home directory. Okay, so we don't consider that as any file or folder as well. For our folder, for the hello folder, these are other directories. Maybe this is the current working directory and you can call this as the previous or the path where you're coming from. Don't worry about that. Okay, leave this. And then this is .git. Okay, so what is this .git now? Okay, so .git is a folder. It's a hidden folder. This will store and automatically trace the changes. I'm not saying go there and delete and mess up with the file. So I'm just coming back. Okay, don't do this. I did it by mistake. Okay, so don't mess with the .git folder. Don't delete it. That's the thing which the Git program will be using to store your checkpoints and all. Okay, so don't delete that or don't mess with it. Okay, that's it. That's what I wanted to tell you guys. Yeah, Nandika is clearing the doubts in the chat. If you have something, ask her. Then okay, so now I wanted to create some files, right? That's the main motive of me coming to the terminal right now. So I'll do touch. Touch is the command for creating a new file maybe, or if it's already existing, then it doesn't modify it, I guess. So, okay, so I use touch to create a new file. I'll say main.py. Okay, so you guys are familiar with Python? I'm not sure. So I'll do just main.txt. A text file is fine with everyone, I guess, right? A text file. Okay, now let's list the files and folders here. So main is a file. Now I want to open it. Of course, I want to open it. I want to see what's in there. So I do a nano main.txt. If you don't have nano installed, then there must be some other text editor, right? Maybe Vim or something else. If not, then just open your maybe GUI interface and open that file by double clicking it manually. You can do it. Okay. So if I'll open it in Nano, that's easy for me to show you. Okay, so here is the file. It's empty. This is a command line text editor, so it's just empty. I want to write here maybe hi triple ITTNs. Right. So that's it. That's all I want to write. Okay. So now I want to save it. So for that, it's Control O that writes out the file. So if you guys don't use Nano if you're not familiar with Nano or you're not comfortable with Nano, just go to that directory and double click and open it. Okay. Uh, how to save the file in Notepad? Control S. What's the issue with Notepad? Uh, did the thing that you did after clear? It's not opening in Notepad. Why is it not opening in Notepad? You are doing something wrong then. So I just wrote how to open How to save it on Nano again? Control O. This symbol is for control symbol. And then O is for out. That means flush. That means save for now. I did control O. It says file that you, the name that you want to give to the file. So it's main.txt. That's what I create. Permission denied in git patch and git cmd. Don't do it with git patch then. Open your GUI and then open it with by double clicking it maybe, if that works. Okay, from Nano part again. Okay, I'm doing it again. Okay, I guess a lot of guys have confusion over that. So I will just save the file and then close it again. Okay. So I did a nano main.txt. That what it does is it just opens the main.txt file in Nano. Nano is a text editor. Okay. So it will instruct Nano to open this file. That's it. How to download Nano? Just leave it for now. If you don't have Nano, use any other text editor that you have on your system. That won't matter. We just want to save something on the file. Just double click it and open it wherever you have saved the file. Would VS Code work? Everything will work. You can try it. What does a text editor do? Text editor is for editing text. As its name suggests. Sublime will do, anything will do. Okay, so I did a nano main.txt. For Sublime, the command is subl, if you guys are wondering. Okay, Sublime main.txt. I have that installed too, but you won't be able to see it because I'm on another screen right now. So how to get out of Nano? So Control X is the command for getting out of Nano. Never mind. So I'll open the file again. So I've already written the text. Control O is for save. Now it says me, tell me the name of the file that you want to save. So if I change it, it will save to some other file probably. So I'll just let it remain whatever it is. So main.txt, and then I'll press enter. This saves the file and it says wrote 2 lines. It wrote 2 lines to the file. Then I do a control X to exit from Nano. What is subl for? Subl is the command line, command for opening Sublime. If you have Sublime installed on your system, these are all text editors. Don't worry about that. Whatever you have on your system, maybe Notepad, maybe anything. Okay, it's like, of course, subl is not working because subl is not installed in the system then. Leave it for now. Just open but any text editor. Why do you have to stick to Sublime? Why is it so dear to you? I have Sublime, I have it. Okay, so if you have Sublime, then the command line version of Sublime would not have been installed on your system. So maybe that's the problem. Why isn't Git now giving the option for further commands after saving in Notepad? Okay, so Git will not be automatically triggered. It's a program. You'll have to trigger it. You will have to tell it what you want to do. Okay, so now we'll be doing what the Git thing is. Okay. Focus on the things that I'm telling right now. Okay, these doubts that you have, you can ask in the later. Okay, so we have to finish it by 9:30, right? So that's it. So I've saved this file. Then let's do a Git status now because that would be important. So I do a Git status on branch master. Ignore that for now. No commits yet. I haven't committed anything. Okay, untracked files. I said Git won't be tracking the files automatically. You'll have to tell it, Git, track this for me. Okay, so the command to track the file is, here's the manual for it. Git add space file name. Okay, so I'll do git add, what was the name of the file? Main.txt. So that's it. Git status fatal. This operation must be run in a work tree. So that's because you are not in the folder which you are supposed to be. I created this hello folder where I initialized the Git repository initially. How to get out of Notepad? Are you guys serious? Just press cross. Yeah, so do Git status in the folder that you created the repository. I told you make a folder hello or maybe any name, whatever you have given. And then you did a Git Init. That's where your repository was initialized. That's where Git is supposed to work. It won't work on every folder of your system, right? You won't like to have that. Git is not taking any more commands because maybe you have closed the Git bash. I don't know. +1. How can we open? Okay, guys, if you are having way too many problems, then maybe you can just see what I'm doing. Warning, LF will be replaced by crlf in main.txt. I don't know what that means. What did you do? So see for now. So I added some text in the file. So I added some text in the file. Then I did a git status and it says that this file is not yet tracked in the repository. So what did I say about tracking? So yeah, so tracking is basically, I want to tell Git that now start looking for this file. What changes have been made to this file? Has it been modified or not from the previous commit? Okay, so I would like to do that now. So I just do a git add and then the name of the file. Okay, so that's it. This would instruct Git to now start tracking this file. Okay, so now you might be worrying what is the status now. So let's see the status, right? So it says changes to be committed. This has been moved to the staging area now. And now it says new file main.txt. So this new file has been created and some text is there. So it has tracked this. Okay, no commits yet. I haven't committed anything. I've just added it to the staging area, which means that it would be committed in the next time I would do git commit, right? So let's do it now. I want to say that now I want to checkpoint. This is a checkpoint. Now this is the point where I would like to return in future, or maybe just it's working now and I want to save it. Okay, save it as in if I do some more changes, I could come back to this point. Okay, I could come back to this point later on. So this is a good checkpoint for me now. So I'll do git commit. What this does is this command takes all the files in the staging area. Okay, all the files that have been sitting in the staging area that are ready to be committed. So this command will commit them. This command will say, okay, these things are now done. So these are now checkpoint. This is now a new checkpoint for me. So I could come back to it later on. Okay. So I would also like to give some message. So what did I do in this file, right? So you can do it by -m. Why I'm doing -m? Okay. So you can do this without -m too, but I'll suggest just do -m. That says the commit message. What message do you want to give? So maybe what this generally means, what have you done in this commit? So I'll just say added main.txt. Why this double quotes? Because I have a space in between. So it accepts a single string after this. So that's why I did it in a double quotes, then it's a string. Okay, so do this. If you are able to do it, then it will commit. So it says added main.txt. So a new file was added to a Git repository. One file changed, two insertions. What were these two insertions? One was this hello triple idns, and then the second was just a new line, okay, a blank line. Create mode, so this file was created, and that's it. So now if I do a git status, it will say on branch master, nothing to commit, working tree clean. Now that your project is saved and you have nothing to commit. So this was a checkpoint for a project. Okay. Why were two insertions? Two insertions because one, I'll do it. Nano, what was that file name? I don't know. Main.txt, right? Yeah. So a blank line and this was a blank line. And then this high triple ends. Okay, so I'll just exit the file now. Okay, so that's it. So now I have checkpoint. I did a checkpoint. Okay, so I now saved my project, and now I would be able to come back to it later. So if I want to, right? So now, for now, let's move to the next slide. Okay, slides are important too. Okay, just a quick switch. Yeah, can you guys see my screen now? I'll do the commit again, so don't worry about it. If you have missed it, then you can do it again. Yeah, so changes to be committed. Yeah, that's what we did. Okay, so let's move to the next. Yeah, so we committed it also. That's great. So this is the output. Great. So now let's revisit this slide. This slide is very important, and that's the major part which you would like to understand for this session. This is the major key, I should say, key takeaway from this presentation. Okay, so aborted commit due to empty commit message, because you didn't type any message to them. So you cannot just say just checkpoint this. How will it remember it, though it has another way of remembering, but a commit message is necessary. Okay, so you just like to name whatever you did. Okay, just name or just type out whatever you did, or maybe name the commit, just say commit one, whatever you want to do. Okay, so this is the main slide that you would like to understand. So add the file from untracked stage to the staging area, directly to the staging area. I don't want there's no nothing else also, so you can't go untracked to unmodified state. So untracked is that the file was not being tracked before, that the file was not being traced by Git, and then you want to trace it suddenly, so it will be directly moved to the staging area, so that it will be committed in the next commit whenever you do it. Okay, the unmodified state. If you want to unmodify some file, just open a text editor or something like that and just modify it, and then it will be modified area, edit the file, right? And then if you would like to stage the file from the modified area, because the modified files are not added in the commit, but added in the staging area directly, so you would like to add them. So again, just add command. Okay, git add and then file name, that will stage the file again. And then if you have something, and you just forget these for now, if you want to remove from unmodified state to untracked state, then you can do this thing. And you can okay, so for this commit is important, because all the things that are there in the staging area, would be committed, would be checkpoint, would be the next checkpoint, new checkpoint for you. And then you will once again go back to the unmodified state. So now your project is unmodified. Okay, so yeah, so let's go a bit faster now. So these are the 4 commands that we have learned by
Harsh,
now. So yeah.
please repeat the slide because your video and voice was lagging, so people could not hear it.
Okay, so the last slide, which so I have to explain it all again. Okay, so never mind. So if a file is untracked, okay, and you want to track it, so you want to maybe commit it in the next commit, then directly add it by git add and then file name, and it will be moved to the staging area. Fine. If you have an unmodified file which was being tracked before but it was not modified, so that's fine, I don't want to know about it. It's unmodified, I don't want to know about it. It's already saved, probably no, it's already saved. Okay, so then this is this modified state, that you have some unmodified file and you maybe typed new lines in it. So you would like to so by default, the modified files are not added in your staging area. So if you're wondering that you modify some file and Git will directly add it to the staging area, no, that's not the case. So by default, Git just leaves it in the modified state. Okay. And then if you'd like to add it to the staging area, just do git add and then the file name. That would add it to the staging area, right? And then if you would like to remove some file, maybe you accidentally wrote some file, wrote this git add to some file, and that then you don't want to do it, then you can remove it by git rm. And then this commit is basically whatever there was in the staging area. So whatever files you have modified, and Git knows that you have modified, and then you added it to the staging area. So now when you do a Git commit, -m is just for the message. What message would you like to give? So now when you do a Git commit, all the files that you have been that you added to the staging area would be committed. This would be the new checkpoint for your repository, and then you would return to the unmodified state. I guess that's fine now. I'll see the chat if anyone has any query. Okay. No, if you have committed it, then it's saved. Now you would be working on some other issue, maybe adding a new file, or maybe adding text to some other file which you haven't done previously. So then you'll have to add it again. So yes, adding would be repetitive if you change it again and again and commit it again and again. Okay, great. So now next, so this is the checkpoint. So if you have any queries on this, I'll allow you to ask on the chat box. Can we go to any checkpoint we've done before? Yes, you can go to any checkpoint that you have done before. It's not just the last checkpoint. And it's not just the checkpoint. You will be surprised to know what all you can do about it. Can we edit a file? Yeah, yes, of course, you can edit a committed file. It's just that you have said that note this point of this file. Okay, I would like to come back to this maybe later. Okay, how to add text to a file? Just open it in a text editor. Come on. If we need to commit only one file after creating more than one file, yes, so just write this name of that file. Git add, it allows you to do that, right? Git add in the file name, then only that file would be added to the staging area, and then you commit it, then only that file would be committed. That's it. How do we get back to, come on, I'll be telling all that, right? So in fact, I won't be telling that right now, how to go back to a checkpoint, so you can check it out. It's not that important. There are other more important things that we'll be doing. Okay. Okay. So now coming to GitHub, Git first thing. Okay. Just because of the name, don't confuse Git with GitHub. Git has nothing to do with GitHub. Okay. Git was made specifically for managing Linux developers, but then it was expanded to many things. So I'll just keep it for the end if you guys would like to know that. And most open source projects, what are open source projects? The projects that have their um, code open to the public. You can see it, you can contribute to it maybe, or maybe just download it and maybe improve some things and make your own version out of an existing product. Maybe a lot of things we do like this. You'll be doing it later on. Yeah, VLC, that's a great example. VLC is an open source project, and I'm not sure, but maybe uh, maybe Chirag has contributed to VLC. I don't know. I'm not sure. So check out the VLC repository and you'll find Chirag's name there. Okay. So creating a repository on GitHub. Now this is important. So I told you that Git is not at all related to GitHub. I mean, they work in sync, that's fine, but Git has nothing to do with GitHub. Okay. GitHub is just an online, storage medium for Git repositories. And there are other things, right? There is big Bitbucket, there is GitLab, and most of the projects, most of the big companies, the big open source organizations use GitLab. And many of them, I mean, I'm not sure about the ratio, but most of them use GitHub. Then the next thing is what did I say? The GitLab. Okay, and then some others use Bitbucket too. Yeah, Daksh Shah and Rohan Rajpal. Yes. Chirag Jain says Chirag hasn't contributed to VLC. Okay, fine. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, so now the next thing. Yeah. So now I would like to create a new, I would like to, okay, so why is this important? So I said this is not at all related, and you would continue and work on your repository on your own, on your local system. So yes, so this is not yet linked to the internet, or it's not on the World Wide Web right now. Your friends won't be able to see it. Only you on your system would be able to see it. But that's what the, major advantage of Git is, right? So you can collaborate with others. So let's see how this collaboration is done. Okay. So first of all, if you haven't signed up for GitHub yet, then just sign up for GitHub as soon as you can. I mean, just now, start doing it. I'll open a browser, and then you can maybe peek into my profile on GitHub. Yeah. So I'll share this browser with you guys. Yeah. So just sign up. That's pretty easy, I guess. You can just type your email address and name. Which email ID? I told you before, that the one that you used, that you stored in Git, that would be better. And I would like to use my other email ID other than the IIIT Delhi one, because IIIT Delhi email would be snatched away from you after 4 years. Yeah, so this is my profile. Not so great, I know, but that's it. So if you want to create a new repository, just click on this. Okay, so I would like to say, okay, so Chirag is saying that Reply Delhi email stays with us forever. That's great. Then do we get unlimited storage? I'm not sure about that. So yeah, you guys can use Reply Delhi email too. So yes, so how many of you have signed up for GitHub? Plus one, plus one, plus one, plus one. It's just a simple step. Just type your mail and name. That's it. Yeah, I would wait for just a few more minutes. By then, I'd like to talk about GitHub. What is GitHub specifically? So GitHub is a collection where you can see a lot of open source projects. Maybe my projects, if you can see it right now, are displayed on the screen. So other than that, you can go to the marketplace and you can explore a lot of projects. So sorry, marketplaces for maybe paid apps. So I go to explore, and then you can see a lot of Git repositories and a lot of things happening in the open source community. Yeah. So you can see these trending repositories today. Okay, let's see what Chirag Jain has on his profile, right? By the time you guys, I don't know what his username is. He is a very good developer. If you guys don't know yet, then you'll soon know how great he is. Yeah, he's at Precog. Yeah, this is his GitHub handle. So this is Chirag Jain on GitHub. So see, 1,542 contributions last year. We will be students. What does that mean? Pro, yeah. So Chirag Jain is a pro developer of a college. If you guys don't know already, never mind. So, um, how many of you are still trying to sign up for GitHub? Just give me a -1 on the chat. Okay, just a few of them. Then we can continue maybe. Just do it, guys. It just requires your name, email ID, a password. That's it. That's all out what it takes to create an account on GitHub. Okay, so we don't have time right now. So if you guys are not able to sign up, then I'll create a new repository. Just see it. It's nothing great as such. Okay, so I create this new repository. Okay, so I do this, and then it says, what would you like to give? Would you like to give a name to a repository? Of course, this won't go without a name. So I'll just say hello. Description, it's optional. You can make it private if you want. So I did it just public. Don't take these, any of these. We'll be talking about it later. And then create this repository. Hello is available, of course. I haven't used hello yet. Okay. So this is it. So I created a new repository. Yeah. So if you guys are not able to how to register for SSH, don't worry about it. Let's figure out the simpler things, Okay, so those of you who want to do the complex things before, I'd like to tell you that for your entire, I would like to say that your developers, your journey as a developer, focus on small parts, small things at one point of time, and you'll eventually solve big problems. And if you just see the big problem and you'll say how to do that, how to do this, then you'll be just stuck somewhere, and then you'll be seeing it. How to make a new repository? Yeah, just click on this plus button here and click on this new repository. Then you'll see, you'll be asked to enter a name for your repository, and you can do that. So this is it. So we have created an empty repository on GitHub. So now we would like to link this repository to our local repository. So the repository that we were working on before. So I'd like to link that here, right? So for that, you can just copy this URL. So you can copy this URL, this github.com/iton43/hello. That might be different for you. Just the username would be different. Rest, everything would be same. Just copy this, okay? And let me fire up my terminal once again. Okay. Come back to the terminal now. Okay, so this is the terminal. Now I would like to sync this repository with the one that I've created just now on GitHub. Do it maybe private if you don't want to show it to your friends, what embarrassing things you have been doing in your repository. Or if you want to keep it public, keep it public. That's fine. I'll just delete it afterwards, so it doesn't matter for me much. Okay, so I'll just add this. Okay, so now I would like this I would like to tell Git to track this repository. Okay, so I'll say Git. Okay, first of all, do this Git remote dash v. It is an empty line. It doesn't show me anything. So basically remote is the remote repository that you have been tracking. Okay, so we haven't added any remote repository till now. So it shows me a blank line. It doesn't show me anything. Now, just do this remote, git remote, add, and then type some name. Okay, this name is to the remote repository that we are tracking. So I'll name it origin and then paste the link that you just copied. I'll just copy this link once again. Yeah. So just paste that link. And now it will add this remote repository to your local repository. And now if I do git remote dash v, then it will show me origin. Forget about fetch and push right now. Okay. Then I do git status again. Guys, we are running out of time, so we'll have to do this quickly now. Okay. So I do git status again, and then I see I have committed the files already. So now I would like to send these changes that I've made, or now the changes, only those changes would be sent to your public repository or private, whichever, your remote repository that you have committed. Only those changes would be sent. Okay. So I'll do git push. Okay. And then if I type set upstream, okay, ignore it for now if you don't want to do this. Just to git push and see what it says. Okay, so it says git push set upstream origin master. Why? Just ignore it for now. Just do it as it says. Okay, set upstream origin master. Now I'll tell you what origin and master is. Origin is the name that we gave to our remote. You can give it any name, but by default it's origin, so I kept it origin. And then this is the link to our repository. Do it with the email ID of your choice. Okay, so I did a git push setup stream origin master. So ignore this setup stream. This is required only once and you'll know it later what it means. And then I press enter. So now it starts uploading these files to GitHub. It says branch master set to track remote branch master from origin. Ignore all these jargon that you're seeing right now. Just go back to the browser that you just, made the repository. Yeah. So now I'm at the remote repository. I just refresh the page and see now it contains this main.txt and see the commit message added main.txt. That's all we did, right? Yeah. So it's finally up on this GitHub servers, and now you can share this link with everyone if it's public and everyone can see it and everyone can actually contribute to it. So the same exact steps that you did, everyone can download this code and do it on their system. And then they would be able to contribute to your repository. So just a few more things that you would like to know, the pull requests, etc. So we'll figure it out later if we have time. Yeah. So let's go back to the slides now and see what there. Can you repeat what you just said? So I did just a git push and then everything was updated on my Git repository. We'll check everything later, what all things mean, what branch means, what tag means. You'd learn it on your own. Star means you like this repository and you'd like to save it for later. Fork means, okay, we'll talk about it. Okay. So let's just switch back to the slides quickly. Yeah. Now we are back to the slides. So this is what we did, and then we did. So this is just to add more remotes if you want, but generally it's just one or two remotes. So the second remote you would not be using now, so you will figure it out on your own. So don't worry about that. So what it is meant for. So pushing, we right now just pushed our code to the remote repository. So I'm skipping this, and then it looked like this. Yes, it did look like this. And then this is for pulling. So I did say that your friends could contribute to this repository also. So now when your friends do commit those changes and then push them to the remote repository, then you can pull the changes. Pull means you want to take the changes from the remote to your system. So just when your friends have committed and pushed on that same repository, then you can do a git pull origin master. Origin is the name of the remote, and then master is the name of the branch. So forget about it. We only have one remote and one branch. These could be many. Okay. So now let's go to the next slide. So git ignore. Now this file is quite important for a lot of projects. So I guess almost all of the projects. So I was talking about the files that you would like to, ignore always. Okay, so you would not like to track it any time. So whatever happens to those files, I won't care. So these are the files, basically these are the build files which could be created later on. So the thing is that only the source code is shared online. Okay, the program is shared, but not as in a git repository. Okay, the code, the assets, maybe the images that you are using for your websites, the audio files that you are using for your project, those things would be tracked. And that means if they are changed, then you would like to update it on your system. But the build files are just, uh, I can say temporary, because those are not the release files. Okay, so the release files are something else. So okay, so let's leave it for now. So whenever someone pulls your code, he can rebuild the project. He won't need the exe file again, right? He won't need to. He won't have to pull that from another. It shouldn't be updated and then pulled back from the remote, right? Because that could be created on a system on your own. You don't need anything for that, right? You can just compile the program again, and then you'll get the output. So for these files, you could add them in git ignore. Git ignore is just a file. Okay, so .git ignore it is, and then you can just add those files and folders to git ignore, and then those files won't be tracked anymore. Okay, so that's just a shortcut for ignoring these files for forever, right? So more on this git ignore, you can follow this link and then maybe read more about it. So git logs. These logs are quite important. So just type git log in your repository and you'll see what it does. Okay, so I'll do it for you guys too. Yes, so I do a git log here. So what it says, see, author Harsh Kumar, I committed this file. This is my email ID, and then this is the commit message that I said. If there had been more commits, then it would have shown me more. Okay, so it basically tells you about whatever you have been doing with your repository. So all the changes, all the commits that you've been doing. Okay, that's it. So okay, so this graph is just another variant of this git log function, git log command. So it shows you the same information in the form of a graph. If you can, type this and try it out. So it's nothing special. And then this is merging and rebasing. I think we won't be able to cover this. So you can basically, there's a lot to be, told before I could talk about merging and rebasing. So I'll skip this for now. So yeah, issues with rebasing, forking a repository. Okay, so if I can talk about it for a few more minutes. Yeah, give me a few more minutes and I'll be telling you guys about it. Yeah, so back to my browser. So now that your friend would like to contribute to it, so maybe you can go to any existing repository. Okay, so this hello repository is just that you have created. Maybe you can go to this repository. This is my repository, which I implemented a game in the previous semester. So me and my friend Varun. Okay, so maybe you would like to see this project on your system. Just you can do this, but then this will download this on your system. Okay, so we'll talk about this later maybe. So what is fork means? Okay, so all the repositories online, okay, so maybe my repositories or any open source repositories, so they won't be allowing you the right access to it. Okay, you can read it, you can say it, fine, you can suggest changes. Okay, you cannot directly modify the state of this repository. You can suggest changes to them. That is what pull requests are meant for. You can read about it later. So I'm just telling you the words, because origin already exists, leave it. Okay, so the repositories that you will be working with in open source, they won't be allowing you write access directly. What happens if they allow write access? You can delete everything and leave. Okay, so they won't be allowing that, right? So for that, you can create a fork. Okay, so you'd like to create an personal copy of the repository on your GitHub account. Okay, so you click on fork and the repository will be forked to your account. Okay, so you can try that if you want to. Okay, so if you fork, so I'll just show any fork. So if when you click on fork, then it will be the same repository will be copied on your profile. So I'll show some forked repositories on my profile. So maybe this repository that I've contributed to before. This has, okay, so this is basically my version of the original project. Okay, so this is basically the forked version. Forked means I want to create a separate copy of that because they won't allow the write access to me. So I would write it here and then I'll suggest them. Okay, these are the changes that I've made. Would you like to add it to your project? You'll say that. So what you'll do is you'll add whatever you want to here in your forked repository. So the way you can do it is basically download this code by doing a git clone on your system. So you can study about it. And then you would be able to edit the files, commit them, and then push online. Because this is your version, there won't be any problem. You can directly, commit to this repository. Okay. Then when you have committed to this repository, it will automatically say, so here it is. So it says pull request. So though the reasons are different, but you'll see a similar pull request button when you have, pushed some changes on this forked repository. So then you'll see this pull request button. If you click this, a pull request would be generated. So that means basically, and now I'll show you some pull request example. Maybe you can see anywhere. I don't know where I can show you right now. Yeah, so your organizations, I can show you one in Actus, right? I mostly work on GitLab. So yeah, so here I created one pull request. So that was closed. So something like this would be created. Okay. So this is a pull request. So what I did quiz routes, just something, don't worry about that. So I did this and then I pushed to my forked version and then I said, okay, take these changes and see if it works for you, if it's fine for you. Then I am the maintainer for this repository. I allowed it myself. So it's not uh, very useful for this moment, but it will be useful when someone else is the maintainer for that code, right? So I was just trying out some things. That's why I did this. Okay. So now let's just quickly move on to the remaining slides and then, okay, pull request, I told you. So you forked this repository. This has two forks. So one is my fork. Okay, fork is basically my version of this repository. Okay, so I forked this. Basically, it creates a copy on your profile, on your GitHub profile. Okay, then you commit and push to it just like you did before. Okay, and then when you have committed to this repository and pushed online, there would be an option to generate a pull request. Pull request is basically a suggestion to the maintainer. that this is the changes that I have made. Would you like to accept it? Say it like that. Okay. Would you like to accept it? So if he thinks that this is cool, this is great, so then he'll accept that pull request. So there's just a button to accept, then he'll accept it. Okay. So great. So I'll now be moving back to my slides. Okay, so forking is necessary if you don't have the right access, because you don't have the right access. Because if you'll have the right access, then you'll delete everything and go. If you won't, then your friend will do that. Someone will do that. Okay, so they don't give you the right access. So what they do is you can create a fork, then change something, and then create a pull request. That is the workflow of GitHub and other open source projects, wherever they are hosted. Yeah, so pull requests. You can, oh, this is a sample repository. It's very clear from the README file. You'll see a README file when you open this. It's very clear from the README file what you have to do. And you can practice creating a fork, creating a pull request on that repository. Okay, that's it. And then the last thing is Markdown. Okay, so Markdown is nothing but just a, fancy way of writing things. So, but let me tell you, the Linux author till date has not shifted to Markdown. He still uses the same, txt file, directly writes it to the txt file. Okay, so this is just styling. Okay, so you want to see some styling on your commit messages, or maybe not the commit messages, but the readme files or something, some files which the GitHub renders automatically. So I'll show you some example. And then this is the last slide. Then you can maybe ask whatever you want to. I'll unmute you guys. So this is the README file, see, .md markdown. So it's just a very basic language where you do a pound sign, a hash sign for a heading, a double pound sign for a smaller heading. So I'll show you some really cool work basically by someone who did a very good formatting in the markdown again. Please show the previous slide. I'll do that just once, just 1 second. So that was the course project, color switch game, and someone else made it too. I'm not sure if I started, but yeah. So then you'd be able to see really cool README files, but that doesn't matter because the main thing is the code. But sometimes it's, it looks better when you have a good README file. So see, he has formatted his README file very well. Okay. So that could be done by Markdown. It's very basic language. It's a, just for styling and stuff. Nothing special here. And yeah, that's the end of this session. I enjoyed it really well. So this pull request slide. Yeah. So any doubts you could ask me or drop a message on Telegram public group. And if you guys could DM me that how did you find this session? So maybe you thought it was interesting. So you won't say bad things to, will you? I don't know. So, well, we don't do that here. If you are familiar with the rules here. So yeah, so that's it. If you guys would like to ask me anything about maybe how to set up Linux or stuff, maybe we can have a session for that, or anything that you'd like to ask. So I'll just unmute you guys. I'll let you guys unmute yourself, and then you can ask any question that you want.
Sir,
Yeah. Don't call me sir. That's don't call me sir. Okay.
can you show
Yeah.
that pull request slide you were just showing?
Yeah, this is, yeah. I'll share the slides with you guys in the mail as well as in the IIIT Delhi group. So you guys would be able to follow this. Okay. Any more questions?
Can
Yeah.
you repeat that pull request thing? Actually, I couldn't get it clearly.
Yeah, sure. So now that the time is up, guys, that's all that I wanted to discuss. If you guys have any questions, any queries, anything, that you can stay or else you can leave the session. Thank you guys for cooperating. And in the end, thank you guys for muting yourselves. So
Sir,
I'd love to talk about more about the GitHub pull requests. Okay. Anything else?
sir,
Is
Don't
it
call me
better
sir,
to
come on. I'm just 1 year senior to you guys. And even if someone is 3 years senior, you are not supposed to call them sir here, I guess. I'm not sure. Okay, so yes, you can
okay?
call me Bhaiya or you can call me Harsh if you want. That's fine.
Okay. So
Hmm.
what should we use in general practice? Should we use fork or we should clone any repository?
Yeah, I told you that you will not be able to push your changes if you directly clone a repository. Some repository that you don't have the right access to. Okay, so I'll be able to push code to all those repositories where I have right access. That's fine. But if you want to push to some, so maybe like VL, if what happens if VLC maybe just gives right access to everyone, what will someone do? Just delete everything and run away. That's it. No one can track who did this, right? So for that thing, they won't allow you a write access. So even if you maybe, for example, just this repository, take the example of this repository that you see on the screen. He wouldn't allow you to write directly on his repository, would he? No. So what you can do is click on this fork button. This will create the same, or everything would be same. Whatever there is in his repository, you will get a similar repository on your profile. All that it will say is that it's a forked version. There will be a line above that it's forked from this repository. That's it. And you'll get everything on your profile. Then you can clone it and then work on it, right? And if it's some repository that you have directly write access to, the repositories that you have, that you own, or the repositories that your friends have allowed you to, directly contribute, then you can do it. Then it's fine. Then you can directly clone it and do your changes and do stuff. Or else, if there's there is another option that you don't want to contribute to that project, you just want the source code, then you don't have to create a fork. Okay, there's no need to create a fork then. Okay, so suppose a
Okay.
person downloaded the repository. Oh, yeah, so someone was saying something. Yeah.
Yes. So how fork is different than just taking the actual code, or in normal way we say copy paste?
Fork is basically that the fork, when you'll create a fork of a repository, you'll have all access to it. But if you haven't created a fork, then you will only have the view access to the repositories that you don't own. What is your question exactly? I didn't get it actually.
Actually, sir, then if I don't have any access to, for example, any repository, and then I perform the fork operation, then some, how it is different from in real life example, like something like copy pasting?
Okay. So when you create, yeah, that's a very good point. So when you create a fork, then whatever you will be pushing to, so that will copy at this point, and then whenever you are pushing to your repository, this won't be updated at all. Okay, his
Okay.
work will go as it was going before. You are updating your version of that project. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
So does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
can you repeat the pull request part?
Yeah, sure. The pull requests are something where you would like the maintainer to see your changes and you'd ask him, कि भैया चाहिए क्या? You'd like to ask him, भैया, I did this. Would you like to accept this to your project? Is it fine with you? Okay. So what happens is, let me tell you the workflow. Okay. So I've been working on this, repository, basically a project by KDE. If you guys don't know KDE, it's one of the biggest open source organizations. So I'm not a great person there. Okay, I'm just a normal contributor, so don't think I'm a great person. I'm just a contributor there. So do you want to see my work? That's what I am to them. Okay, so this is the repository. Okay, this is hosted on GitLab. So basically a personal version of GitLab for KDE. Don't worry about that. It's just similar to GitHub, different interface, different things. That's it. So here the thing is called merge request. It's not pull request, it's merge request. Okay. So what I did was, see, I created a few merge requests some days before. So maybe see this. Okay. Let's see what I did. Okay. So they don't allow me to write directly to their main repository, right? So they don't trust me yet. So they'll give me write access later on when I'll be maybe I don't know. So this is the reverse count multiple data set update. Don't worry about that, whatever it is. So what I did was I did some changes. Okay, I did some changes. These are the changes which you can view later on if you want to. And then what I did was I said him, I just pushed it and opened a merge request for him. Then he said, looks good. I would suggest a few little changes, set max number to the whatever he said. He suggested some changes. I said, okay, okay. His name is, I don't know, Timothy. So he said, Tim, we call him Tim. So I said, okay, Tim, I'll do that. I said this here. So that's it. Then then Johnny suggested some things. So I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. So he said, okay. So that's the kind of, that's the kind of, communication that goes on. So I suggest some changes. He'll say, okay, these are fine, but these should be changed. I said, okay, I'll do that. Then someone else says, okay, these are fine, but these should be changed. So I do that. And when everyone is satisfied, basically the main maintainers, when they are satisfied, they'll say, thank you. And then they'll merge it.
So
That's the
this is like
workflow.
GSOC, na, right? GSOC things.
Yeah. Actually, I've been trying to, contribute to this repository, and then this would participate in GSOC, and then I could apply to GSOC for their project. So that would make sense when you do a few more things. Yeah. Many of you can contribute in first year as well. So those of you who are familiar with programming can then start contributing to open source repositories if you are interested. And then who knows, maybe this year you can get selected for GSOC, or maybe not. Then you can next year apply for it for sure. Then you'll be one step ahead from others, right? What's the harm in contributing anyway? You'll gain experience. That's it. Yeah. So any more questions?
Can you tell like if you like want to contribute, what all like prerequisites do we need like in terms
There
of
is no prerequisite for any open source organization. Yes, I can say that. So even if you don't know Git, then also you can approach them. Okay, I want to do this. So they'll say, learn Git first. Then you learn Git. Then you'll say, okay, now I've learned Git. So I have these skills. Even if you don't know anything, you all are a good Hindi speaker, right? Not Hindi, then maybe some other Indian languages. You all can do that, right? So open source contributions is not just about, contributing code. You may be contributing translations if you would like to do that. Okay, so this project is basically translated to more than 120 languages. One of them is Hindi. You guys can say, okay, I want to contribute to this repository, so allow me to do so. So they'll say, okay, what can you do? You'll say, I can do translations for Hindi. If their project is translated in Hindi, then just check that. Okay. So, but then you would not like to do that, okay? Because you are primarily a developer. That's what you are, I guess, if you are in IIIT Delhi and you're attending the session. So you are a developer. So you'd like to contribute code in some way, right? So then you'll say, okay, I'm not interested in translations. I'll just learn a few things. So ask them, what am I supposed to learn? They'll say, learn this, and you can do this. They are very helpful. I cannot show you my chat, that would be weird, but if I can show you my chat, that would be really amazing. You'll be surprised. So even if I do the dumbest mistakes of my life in front of them, they'll say, okay, fine, do it again. That's not their worry to, make you do the correct things. They'll just suggest, do this, do that. Then it's up to you how you want to proceed with it. So for example, see this pull request. Okay. So this was opened maybe 4 months ago. Then this person became inactive. He is no longer active in this, So he is like maybe busy with some other work. So he just left it. Then it didn't get merged. It's open till now. Someday it will be deleted maybe. Okay. So it's your call if you want to do it or not. Yeah. Some other questions? There are 30 people in the room. Yeah.
How to download the code? Like you were saying something about cloning or something.
Yeah. So cloning is basically you want to, we did the other way around. We created a repository on our system. Then we, created a repository on GitHub. Then we said, okay, track this remote repository. That's what we did, right? Say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do the other way around because you won't be initializing a new repository on a system every time. You want to work on my project for say. Let's assume you want to do that, but you don't want to do that, I know. So you want to contribute to my project. Okay. So you won't have to create a new repository. You just want to, what do you want to do? You want to pull whatever the project, the project's most recent state is. That's what you'd like to know. That's what you'd like to have in your system, right? So you can do this head on 43 color switch, right? So what you can do is just click on this code button, then you'll see this link. You can download a zip, which is very boring. Okay, you are a developer, so you won't like to do that. You downloading a zip and then extracting it. So what you would like to do is maybe go to your terminal and yeah, so let me show this to you. Then what I am doing is I'm moving to the previous repository, the place where I created this this hello folder, right? So I moved there. Cd dot means move to the previous directory where I'm coming from. Okay, so I do what I do now is I do git clone and then I type this link. What now if I press enter, what will happen is whatever the recent state of this project is, that would be downloaded in my system with the same folder name as the project name, the repository name. So if I do press enter, then it will start cloning into color switch game, and then it would be similar whatever we have done. I'm stopping it because I don't want to do it. I'm just deleting the folder. If it's there, I guess it's not there. It's automatically deleted. Yeah. So any more questions? User.name. No, don't type this tilde. Don't type this tilde. It's just present on your terminal. The terminal which for which the screenshot was shown. So it was present on the terminal to just indicate where to start typing to, or maybe something like that. So here there is a $sign. So similarly, there was a tilde on that terminal. So you just type git config global user.name your name, and then it would be fine. It would be working fine. Yeah. Oh, it's giving permission denied error. Oh, I don't know what to do about it. I'm sorry. You can search online, but it shouldn't do that. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Ask. Come on. What's your name?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. What's your name?
Diptorshi.
Okay. Hi, Diptorshi.
Yes. Actually, wanted to ask that will you conduct sessions about Linux and GSOC? These are two.
So if you guys would be interested in doing that, so I can do it for sure. So yeah, we'll see it later. Thanks for the suggestion.
Okay.
Actually,
if you have time, can you explain GSOC a bit? If you
okay, after this, okay, maybe when only a few people are left in the room. Okay, yes,
okay,
someone else had, yeah, someone else had.
Actually, you
please mute yourself, guys. Those who are not speaking anything. Yeah. Aman Bhalla, can you please mute yourself?
Can you conduct a part 2 of this session, as you left some two big things you were saying that you need to tell us a lot. So maybe a part 2 in a bit greater detail.
So we can do this. Okay, so I'll post a poll on the channel. Okay, and I'll ask if you guys are interested in part 2 of this session, and if you guys are interested in it, then we can do it. Is it fine?
The DSC channel, right?
Yeah, the DSC channel. And other than that, if you want to just try out these things. Okay, the link that I showed you, the README file has everything. Just try out that, and if you're stuck somewhere, you can ask, DM me. That would be great. Okay, so I can answer your queries there. And if not, I'll just post a poll on DSC channel, and then you can maybe vote for yes, and then we'll see if the vote is good enough that we can conduct a session for it. Okay.
Can you send a Google form on email? Actually, Telegram is too crowded. Hundreds of messages come there every day, so it might get.
So yeah, I'll send a mail as well. Okay.
Okay, thank you. A very nice session. I'll be leaving off.
Welcome. I'm glad to help you guys. Anyone else has any question? There are 21 participants in the room. Yeah, 20 participants. Great.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Tell me your name. Now we have the time and luxury to do that,
Yeah, I'm Bhagesh. Actually,
hi,
I
Bhagesh.
was having some network issues in between the sessions, so I missed like little bit stuff. So that created some water confusion for me. So will you be posting the recording for this session?
Yes. We'll be posting the recording soon. Just after the session ends, and I have the recording. Actually, I did it on my computer, so I'll have to, upload all that. So If my Wi-Fi
Yeah,
is
yeah.
working good enough, then I can then upload it very quickly, I guess. Okay.
Sure, sure, sure.
Where will you upload it?
Yes, I'll upload it. Maybe by today, 12.
No, where the location, like email or
I no, I'll upload it on maybe Google Drive or YouTube, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. And then I'll share the link with you guys. So you'll be able to view it for sure and download it for sure if you want to. I mean, if you want to, I don't know.
please give the email for that.
I'll email it to you guys. Okay. I'll email the session link. Okay. And let's just stop the recording for now because it's not something that we want to do.